Welcome to the DragonLance Saga Gaming Advanced Dungeons & Dragons episode. This is the 19th episode in the Advanced Dungeons & Dragons Dungeon Master's Guide series. It is Misham Deep Cult V. My name is Adam. Dragonlance came out of Advanced Dungeons & Dragons, so I thought it would be fun to read the core rules aloud and discuss them with a live audience. I would like to take a moment and thank the DL Saga YouTube members and Patreon patrons, and invite you to consider becoming a member or patron. You can even grab Dragonlance Media or get $10 by signing up to startplaying.games using my affiliate links in the description below. Hey, Ryan, thanks for joining in. All right, let's get into this. We are picking up right where we left off. Underwater random monster encounters. Underwater encounters are divided into those which occur in fresh water and those in saltwater, seas, and oceans. Each division is further broken down by depth, shallow and deep water encounters. In fresh water, shallow water encounters occur at 50 feet or less depth, where the vision is relatively easy. In saltwater, shallow water encounters occur to twice that depth, i.e. 100 feet. As a reminder, the maximum depth for shallow water encounters is shown in parentheses after the designation. The numbers of monsters encountered are those shown in the monster manual. When a random monster encounter is indicated, go to the appropriate portion of the table and roll percentile dice. Read down the dice score column until the total of the dice is found, then read right to find the creature encountered. Inappropriate encounters should be ignored and a new number generated in order to gain a reasonable result. Number of creatures encountered should be appropriate to the strength of the encountering party. I think that's interesting because normally it's, well, no, this is just what is here and you have to kind of deal with it. Hey, S10B10, how you doing? In this particular case, when we're doing these random monsters and we're building for a specific area, we're not thinking of just what's in the world, we're thinking of designing it for a party specifically. So the underwater encounters in freshwater table includes from up to 50 feet depth, includes creatures like beavers, crawfish, hippocampus, leeches, nymphs, and water weirs, and so on and so forth. It goes in a percentile dice roll up to 100. And then deep water encounters, I'm sorry, that was over 50 feet. This is under 50 feet. Go from beetles to crocodiles to dragon turtles, lampreys, nagas, otters, etc. Also in a percentile dice roll. Underwater encounters in large bodies of salt water, shallow water encounters to 100 feet. Barracuda, crayfish, dinosaur, dolphin, eel, copoacinth, gargoyle, coalinth, hobgoblin, Locathaw, masher, octopus, seahorse, etc. Oh, and we've got a delightful image. A beautiful little mermaid. It's a whole new world, everyone. Oh, wait, no, that's the wrong one. Dang it. She likes to live under... I'm trying to think of a song. She likes to live under the sea, where the seaweed's always greener. All right. Enough of that. Then we have deep water encounters below 100 feet, and that's like dragon turtle, eel, morkoth. I've never even looked into what a morkoth is. Sahuagin, triton, whales. Never encountered a whale in my life. All right, next up is the astral and ethereal encounters. Encounters occur 1 in 20. Check at the beginning, midpoint, and end of the journey. If an encounter is indicated, usually 20 on the die, consult the appropriate table and roll percentile dice. Read to the right on the table to find the creature encountered and the number encountered. Evasion is possible only if the adventurers are able to move more quickly than the monster encountered. Psychic wind and ether cyclone. While you can threaten the dire effects of the psychic wind and the ether cyclone, these devices cannot be fully employed unless you have developed extensive information on the various planes, or else you have obtained commercial offerings on the subject. Becoming lost or injured is always possible, of course, and this is detailed below. Chance for wind or cyclone blowing. The chance of a delayed or disrupted journey is 5% per plane crossed, including alternate worlds or solar system traveled to. Effects of these forces are shown prior to the encounter tables. Astrally projected psychic wind. A dice score of 1 to 12 out of 20 is slows traveler only, incurs 1 additional check for random encounters. 13 to 16 blows off course and parties lost for 2 to 20 days time and then must return to starting place. 17 to 19 blows off course so that the party arrives at a different destination as determined by random method. Or 20. Storm blows, and unless a saving throw versus magic is made, the silver cord is broken and the party is killed. If a save is successful, the party is lost for 4 to 40 days and must return to the starting place thereafter. Note, if astral projection does not involve a silver cord attachment, then the party concerned is both lost and arrives at a different destination when struck by a psychic storm wind. Ethereal Ether Cyclone. Die score from 1 to 20. So 1 to 10 is blows so as to move party in random direction at 120 feet per round, and if traveling is involved, party is slowed so as to incur 1 additional encounter check. 11 to 15. Blows to a different plane than that the party is on or desires to travel to. Usual encounter checks must be made. 16 to 18. Blows so as to cause party to be lost for 5 to 60 days, and when no longer lost, the party will arrive at a different plane as determined by random means. 19 to 20. Storm Cyclone causes party to be drag racers outside apparently. Causes party to be lost for 10 to 120 days, and unless saving throw versus magic is made, the party is blown to the astral plane. If a save is successful, then party will still arrive at a randomly determined plane touched by the ether. Astral and ethereal encounter tables. Astral encounter table. And this is a die score from 1 to 100 as per usual, and it encounters creatures such as aerial servants, basilisk, demons, devils, dragons, gorgons, intellect devourers, Medusa, night hag, etc. Ethereal encounter table includes cockatrice, coatl, djinn, dragons, afridi, elementals, human traveler, lamassu, nightmare, salamanders, stuff like that. And then, of course, there's a human sub-table, which consists of every class available to any player character. Psionic encounters is next. If you opt to include psionic powers in your campaign, and let me just put a pin right there, I personally think you should always include the options of psionic encounters. First and foremost, every player has a chance of being psychotic. Yeah, that's for sure. Psionic. It's not high, but depending on their stat rolls, it's feasible. And there's always a percentile dice chance roll. So if you roll for it and they have it, then use it. Definitely use it. Psionics are not complicated. They bring a level of depth to the game that is different from magic. It's different from fighting, and it can make just a typical styled character into a very hyper-specific type of character. And because not everyone has it, if someone does, it makes it so much more interesting. So anyway, I highly recommend it. I know some people, they're just like hand wave it away and just forget about it. But whatever works at your table, I would at least argue, give it a chance. If you don't like it, then don't continue doing it. But at least give it a chance. So then certain random encounters will be with psionically empowered creatures. Check for random encounters as is normal, but if the player party has used psionic powers during the last turn or spells resembling psionic powers during the last round, then the chance of a psionic encounter will be 1 in 4 if an encounter is otherwise indicated. After checking for a random encounter, roll d4 to find if the encounter is psionic. If the second table is positive, go to the psionic encounter table and check thereon to find what creature is involved. The encounter otherwise occurs as normal, although certain creatures will not be detected by the party. So spells that resemble psionic powers are Astral Spell, Augury, Blink, Charm, Clairaudience, Clairvoyance, Cure, Detection, Dimension Door, Enlarge, ESP, feather fall, feign death, heal, heat metal, hypnotism, invisibility, no alignment, levitation, plane shift, polymorph, remove curse shape, change stone any, like teleport or something, and temporal stasis. Note, magic items performing these powers, or those which duplicate psionic abilities, may be included as spell functions resembling psionic operations. Psionic encounters table. So it goes from like brain mole, cerebral parasite, coatl, demon, devil, gray ooze, intellect devourer, Herein, lich, some men, human psionic, mind flayer, mold, yellow, shidu, Sioux monster, triton, or titan. Roll until an appropriate encounter occurs, ignoring inappropriate results, or optionally considering it as no encounter. And whenever it comes to these random encounters, always keep in mind the challenge that you're trying to impose on the players that is reasonable for them, right? That's what random monster encounters are supposed to be. And then if you roll something and you don't like it, just choose anything. Like, it doesn't matter. You can just make a choice. You don't have to continue rolling ad nauseum until something ends up being the right roll. Just think about the situation you're in and apply the appropriate creature. It really doesn't take a lot of thought. All right, outdoor random monster encounters. Outdoor encounters are divided into two sets of tables, one for areas which are inhabited and patrolled, and others for uninhabited wilderness areas. Inhabited areas are always assumed to be patrolled. When an encounter in such an area is indicated, roll d20. 5 and 20 are encounters with a patrol. Patrols are detailed hereafter. It is assumed that you'll have all communities and fortresses indicated in inhabited areas. If not, use the random terrain indicators for such, ignoring ruins if you choose. Uninhabited areas will occasionally have fortresses. Whenever an encounter is indicated, roll d20. 1 and 20 is an encounter which discovers such a stronghold. These are also detailed hereafter. If you're not using the random terrain method for discovery of ruins, check by rolling percentile dice on that table nonetheless. Check only when an encounter is indicated, however. If ruins are indicated, then the encounter will occur there, and if the monster is not appropriate to the setting, check the rough terrain column to find a result. What I always loved about the Dragonlance modules and source books is it showed you all of the monsters that exist in Dragonlance, whether it's DLA, Dragonlance Adventure Sourcebook, or the DL modules. It'll always have an region-appropriate random monster roll table there. It's so helpful. That way you don't have to reference the DMG. You can just look at the modules, end notes, and make your detailed information there. And what I always like to do is, as I'm planning out the session, I'll pre-roll so I don't have to do it at the table. And if it is going to come up with a possible encounter, I'll populate a battle map with all the appropriate information, make sure all the stats are there for the monsters. And then if we get to that point in the session and the players are capable of handling it, then I'll throw it at them because I already rolled to see if something would occur. If they're not ready for it, then I just ignore it. And it really does come down to something as simple as just a choice. And that's really what this entire game is all about, right? It's about you making an appropriate choice for the characters to react to. Not everything's going to end in combat, and sometimes it can end in TPK. What your goal should not be is to murder the players. So have a little bit of compassion in times that require it. All right, patrols. Patrols will be of a racial composition appropriate to the area. Patrols will always be mounted unless there are extenuating circumstances such as terrain or a nation which shuns mounts. Leaders will ride warhorses. Patrols will be commanded by a fighter or ranger where applicable, or of from 6th to 8th level, with a lieutenant of from 4th to 5th level, and a sergeant of 2nd or 3rd level. There will be from 3 to 4 first level men, and from 13 to 24 soldiers, men-at-arms, forming the main body. Armor and arms will be plate mail, shield, lance, flail, and longsword for all fighters of first level and above. Soldiers will typically have chain or scale mail, shield, bow, or light crossbow, and a hand weapon. That's a tough random patrol. That's a lot. If you just consider your average party is like 6 to 8 characters, PCs and hirelings or something, 24 soldiers plus a leadership team is a lot. Accompanying each patrol will be a cleric, 40% of 6th or 7th level, or a magic user, 60% of 5th or 8th level. An 8th level magic user with a random patrol will decimate a group. For magic items of a patrol, see character subtable, party magic items of dungeon random monster tables. It is suggested that you personalize and prepare about a dozen or so standard patrol groups, which you can then use repeatedly when needed. Wow, that's brutal. I mean, I hope your players are ready to just give up when necessary and not fight to the death. DMs always have the advantage over players. Killing them is easy to do if you aren't properly balancing the encounters. Absolutely, Ryan. Absolutely. Fortresses, uninhabited areas, are not all wilderness. There will be small settlements and a few strongholds scattered about. If the roll of D20 indicates that there is a fortress in the area, the party will be within visual range of the construction, 1/2 to 5 miles, depending upon terrain considerations. The castle type, the master of the stronghold, or his or her forces, and the castle's awareness of the party of adventurers are treated below. So the castle table 1, size, class, and type, goes from small to medium and large of a percentile dice, small shell keep or tower or moat to large shell keep, small walled castle to medium castle, concentric castle, large walled castle, or fortress complex. For details of castle types, see construction and siege engines. Once the size and type of the castle discovered has been determined, the inhabitants are found castle table 2 inhabitants. And it's again 3 different percentile rolls from small, medium, or large, depending on what you rolled previously. And it's totally deserted with a monster, humans, or character types therein. Note on Castle Table 2. Totally deserted indicates the construction is in disrepair and upon close inspection appears empty. Deserted castles appear as totally deserted ones, even upon close inspection, but entry into the construction will discover the monster. Humans means the place is occupied by bandits, brigands, etc. Determine this as follows. Castle Subtable 2A. Humans are bandits, brigands, berserkers, dervishes. Number and other details of these humans are given in the monster manual under the heading of Men. Character types refers to the basic and subclasses of characters, and of course it has all of the characters appropriate, with levels ranging from 9th to 23rd level bard. What? What? You just stumble across a god, basically. For magic items possessed by the Stronghold's master, as well as for discovering the level of his or her henchman, use the character subtable for the dungeon random monster tables. There will be from 2 to 5 henchmen found within a fortress. Certain character types will have special followers, and these will be found there also. However, except for the clerical profession, these followers will not serve as the main castle garrison. These men-at-arms will be 9 to 12, heavy horse, splint and mail and shield, lance, longsword, mace, 9 to 16 light horse, studded leather, light crossbow, longsword, 13 to 24 men-at-arms, scale mail, shield, spear, hand axe, 7 to 12 men-at-arms, scale mail, heavy crossbow, morningstar. Cavalry will be stabled and fight on the walls when necessary. Each of the above units will be led by a fighter of 3rd or 4th level with normal chances for magic items. Leaders are in addition to the figures shown. Fortresses will be stocked with food, water, and supplies of arms and missiles. Each will have artillery and sufficient crew to operate each engine as follows. Fortress type is moat house, tower, keep, small, medium, and large. And then the ballistae or scorpions number, light catapults number, and oil cauldrons number. To determine if the occupants of the stronghold are aware of the party of adventurers, roll a surprise die for the latter. And if they are surprised, then the fortress occupants know they are there. If surprise is 2 or greater, the occupants are actually outside the palace and within normal surprise distance of the party of adventurers. Otherwise, the adventurers have not been detected, and they may opt to pass the place by or go and investigate it. The reactions of the castle or other type of stronghold to the adventure party are discovered as normally done. Friendly or hostile reactions will be dictated by the culture and society of the area. For instance, if you have the area as a typical medieval European fantasy one, a friendly reaction will result in the host party welcoming the adventurers, feting them, and offering an escort to the borders of their territory when they choose to leave, but meanwhile entertaining them royally with hunts, drinking bouts, etc. A neutral reaction will be refusal to allow them into the place without facing one or more of their fighters in some form of non-lethal combat, such as jousting, and taking armor and weapons from them if they lose. Or if it could as well be a demand for a toll to pass through, meanwhile keeping the castle gates shut tight. A hostile reaction could be feigning good friendship, getting the adventurers drunk, and then stripping them and imprisoning them for ransom, or it could result in immediate attack if you decide. Outdoor random monster encounter tables, Arctic conditions. And it ranges from like brown bears to white dragons, frost giants, herd animal, tribesmen, giant owls, remoras, giant constrictor snakes, ice toad, wolf, winter wolf, or yeti. Whether the predominant terrain is plain, rough, or mountains, you just roll the percentile dice for that. And let's see the giant owl, shall we? Who? That's what they say. Who, right? Wow, this is a big one. I'm just going to show you this. So this is the subarctic conditions. So you see across the top the predominant terrain from plain, scrub, forest, rough, hills, mountains, and marsh, and then the creature type going down the left side, from brown bear to knoll to mammoth, giant ram, tiger, and winter wolf, etc. Lots of different monsters here. And then, of course, we have the temperate and subtropical conditions, uninhabited wilderness areas. Same predominant terrain, but different creatures, from like giant ants to giant beavers, blink dogs, catoblepas, dragons, gargoyles, herd animals, jackals, lions, men, etc. All sorts of stuff. And then, of course, we have Pegasus, snake, ticks, giant ticks, undead, windwalkers, etc. And then we have the demi-human subtable, dwarf, elf, gnome, and halfling, and the dragon subtable of all the different types of dragons. Interestingly, including wyverns and chimeras. Frog subtables, and then giant subtables, and then humanoid subtables from gnolls, goblins, hobgoblin, kobold, or orc. Lycanthrope subtable, which is interesting. Men's subtables, snakes, sphinxes, spiders, undead subtables. So a special note regarding characters encountered in uninhabited wilderness areas. It is suggested that you use typical parties of dungeon characters for such encounters. 90% will be mounted, warhorses where applicable, 10% afoot. Character level will range from 7th through 10th, with henchmen of approximately 1/2 rounded up character level. Mounted fighters will have lances, those afoot will have spears. And then, of course, you have the temperate and subtropical conditions, inhabited and or patrolled areas table, from like onkegs, bombardier beetles, bullets, hill giants, groaning spirits, lycanthropes, brigands, skunk giants, a nice little satyr image here. Temperate conditions, fairy and sylvan settings, from carnivorous apes, brownies, cockatrice, etin, harpies, manticores, pixies, and all sorts of other things, sturges, unicorns. This is just a whole bunch of freaking tables here. Oh my gosh. Pleistocene or Pleistocene conditions. And we have the axebeak, bull, flightless bird, spotted lion, woolly rhino, titanothere, and all sorts of other creatures in between. And we've got some pterodactyls and flying dinosaurs. Subtropical to tropical conditions, prehistoric setting, age of dinosaurs, Anatosaurus, Brachiosaurus, giant crocodile, giant lizard, small, medium, miscellaneous reptiles, Pentaceratops, don't even know what that is, giant constrictor snakes and Triceratops, and all sorts of other dinosaurs. And tropical and near tropical conditions, uninhabited wilderness areas, from giant ants to rhinoceros beetles, giant centipedes, loxodont elephant, hyena, lamia, lion, dervish men, rhinoceros, constrictor snakes, sphinx, tiger, etc. Hey, look at that. And then we have the sphinx subtable of androsphinx, cryosphinx, gynosphinx, and Hierosphinx. I think that's how you say it. Don't know. All right. Waterborne encounters. Freshwater, 2507, marking my little timestamps. Freshwater encounters occur 1 in 20. Check morning, evening, and midnight. Unintelligent monsters will be 75% likely to be driven off by flaming oil nearby, 90% if actually burned by it. Large amounts of food will be 50% likely to end encounters. That's under freshwater. Flaming oil, all right. Saltwater encounters occur 1 in 20. Check dawn and noon in coastal and shallow waters. Check only once during daylight, usually noon in deep water. Burning oil works as noted above for freshwater encounters, as will food. The waterborne random monster encounters is divided between small body of water and large body of water, from giant beetles to nixies to giant otters, and then large body of water is like crocodiles and copoacinth or lacedons or nagas. Small body of waters include large ponds, fens, small lakes to medium-sized ones, and rivers, other than the major ones which carry large shipping. Large body of waters include large lakes, great lakes, and major rivers. Saltwater, shallow waters, coastal waters, small inland seas, and they range from like crocodiles to dinosaurs, dragon turtles, aquatic elves, Recapitulation. I can't even pronounce that. Oh man, that's crazy. Pirates, sharks, etc. Deep waters include dolphins, dragon turtles, tritons, carnivorous whales, etc. And the dinosaur subtable is Archelon, Ischyros. All right, I'm not going to try to say these. They're dinosaur names. Then we have our airborne random monster encounters. When the party is traveling by means of flying, simply use the appropriate outdoor random monster encounters table. Check at every opportunity, 4 times in daylight, twice if flying at night also, or 4 times if flying at night only. But an encounter occurs only if the creature indicated is able to fly or is actually flying. So city or town encounters, the prime city or cities, town, or towns in a campaign will usually have predetermined denizens, and many encounters will be set according to facts thus developed. All sections of these prime inhabited areas will not be matrixed, and all other cities, towns will be basically undeveloped. For all such areas, the city-town encounter matrix is useful. All encounters must be in their appropriate areas. A ghost will not be encountered in the main square of a city, rats in a palace, etc. If the roll indicates an improbable encounter, just ignore it, and no encounter has taken place. Check for encounters every 3 turns as normally or otherwise as desired. Disguise all encounters by using vagueness and similarity. So the city-town encounter matrix is daytime and nighttime rolls, percentile dice, and it just includes all sorts of random stuff from bandits, beggars, brigands, city guards, demons, druids, harlots, magic users, nobles, etc. City-town encounter explanations. Assassin. Encounters are dependent upon the locale. Normally, 1 to 3 assassins will be encountered, but near the Thieves' Quarter, the encounter could be with many assassins, at the guild, for instance. Assassins will typically ignore passers-by or act as thieves, but are as likely to slay first and steal afterwards as to simply pick a pocket or two. Bandit encounters in daylight hours will simply be a case of a nondescript group being seen. The bandits will perhaps be watching the encountered party as a future prospect. Nighttime encounters will typically be with 3 to 12 bandits with 1 or more leaders. Beggar. Encounters are with but 1 or possibly 2 persons, young or old, maimed, diseased, or whole, religious or otherwise, male or female, beseeching alms. There is a chance that a beggar will be a thief. A beggar has a slight chance, 1% to 8%, of knowing information of interest to the character encountering him or her, but payment must be made. Any gratuity or gift given to a beggar will immediately attract the attention of other beggars nearby. 0 to 9, others will be near. Brigand encounters are the same as bandit encounters. City guard encounters are with 2 to 16 mercenary soldiers in the employ of the city as gate and wall guards or in a police function. There will always be 1 higher level leader, 2 if more than 8 guards, 3 if more than 12. In addition to the 0-level guardsmen, leaders are of 2nd to 5th level fighting ability. They will question suspicious persons, arrest lawbreakers, etc. In addition, the guard party will always be accompanied by a magic user of 1st to 4th level who is indentured for 1 year for some service rendered to him by her or her by the city, which was not repayable in some other manner. Bad debts, resurrection, infraction of city rules, non-payment of taxes, etc. City official encounters will be with some minor bureaucrat such as a tax collector, customs officer, guard, or watch lieutenant. Deputy bailiff or assistant magistrate. A 10% chance for an encounter with a major official exists, however, such as meeting a steward, alderman, justice, guard, or watch captain, chamberlain, or magistrate. Major officials will have 2 to 8 city guards with them, as detailed above. Officials will resent unwarranted intrusion, but they will speak with persons regarding important matters. Any official will have 1 to 4 fighters as personal guards, D4 to determine individual level. City watchmen encounters are with squads of the watch, 5 men plus a first through third level sergeant during daylight, double numbers plus a 4 to 5th level lieutenant at night. These squads will always be accompanied by a cleric of 2nd to 5th level, indentured to the city as magic users are to the city guard. They will generally act as do city guards, and at night these patrols will be ready to aid attacked persons and arrest lawbreakers. Cleric encounters will be with a cleric 6th to 11th level, D6 plus 5. There will be 0 through 5 lesser clerics, D4 for level. With the major character, alignments can be rolled for or dictated by area or race. Encountered clerics will typically try to convert the party, ask for contributions, or try to dupe the party into becoming sacrificial victims. That's pretty awesome. Demon or devil encounters must be carefully restricted, and they may be ignored entirely if desirable. For example, near an evil temple, there may well be a demon or devil. A succubus may be roaming at night. A wizard may have conjured a demon, etc. Treat these encounters as highly special. Only 1 demon or devil will be encountered. Doppelganger encounters would normally take place only near deserted places, where there are entrances to the underworld, ruins, and the like. The number of doppelgangers encountered will be 3 to 6, D4 plus 2. Druid encounters will be with a druid of 6 to 11 levels, D6 plus 5, with 0 to 3 lesser druids, D4 for level, 50% of the time, and 1 to 4 fighters, D6 for level, 50% of the time. Druids will generally shun conversation with the encountered party. Drunk encounters are typically with 1 to 4 tipsy revelers or wine-sodden bums, 50% chance for either. In the former case, the type of character found drunk should be diced for. This is a percentile dice roll sort of randomly from assassin to city official to illusionist to thief. When an encounter with a drunk occurs, reaction from the latter will dictate what is said to the party. The drunk character will become sober on a roll of 10% or less out of 100% if threatened. Check each turn or melee round. See effects of alcohol and drugs in the damage subsection of combat. Fighter encounters will be with a 6th level to 12th level fighter, 2d4 plus 4, accompanied by 0 to 3 henchmen, d4 for level. Gentleman encounters are with a foppish dandy and 1 to 4 sycophants, 40% of the time, a gentle woman, 20% of the time, and 40% of the time with a well-dressed fighter type of 7 to 10th level, d4 plus 6, with 1 to 4 friends of the same abilities. Any rude remarks will give offense, of course. Fops will seek revenge by causing trouble for the party with officials. Gentlewoman will send a champion. Fighters will challenge the offenders. Ghast encounters must be near charnel houses, graveyards, and the like. The number encountered will be 2 to 8. Ghost encounters are treated in a fashion similar to ghast encounters, but, of course, a local or 2 can be haunted. 1 ghost will be encountered. Ghoul encounters are treated the same as ghast encounters, except 4 to 16 will be encountered. Jeez, 16. Giant rats are encountered throughout any inhabited place, using their own tunnels, warrens, sewers, or cellars, etc. In daylight, such encounters will take place only in dim alleys or dark buildings in similar places. The number encountered will be 2 to 8 in daylight, 4 to 24 at night. Goodwife encounters are with a single woman, often indistinguishable from any other type of female, such as a magic user, harlot, etc. Any offensive treatment or seeming threat will be likely to cause the woman to scream for help, accusing the offending party of any number of crimes, i.e., assault, rape, theft, or murder. 20% of good wives, no interesting gossip. Harlot encounters can be with brazen strumpets or haughty courtesans, thus making it difficult for the party to distinguish each encounter for what it is. In fact, the encounter could be with a dancer only prostituting herself as it pleases her, an elderly madam, or even a pimp. In addition to the offering of the usual fare, the harlot is 30% likely to know valuable information, 15% likely to make something up in order to gain a reward, and 20% likely to be or work with a thief. You may find it useful to use the subtable below to see which sort of harlot encounter takes place. And it goes from like slovenly troll to typical streetwalker, expensive doxy, wealthy procuress, etc. An expensive doxy will resemble a gentlewoman, a haughty courtesan, a noblewoman, and other harlots must be mistaken for good wives, and so forth. Illusionist encounters will be with an illusionist of 7 to 10th level, 4 to 6 plus 6, with 0 to 3 apprentice illusionists, D4 for level, 50% of the time, or 1 to 3 fighter guards, D6 for level, 50% of the time. The illusionist typically wishes to be left alone. Labor encounters are with a group of 3 to 12 nondescript persons loitering or in the way to or from work. These fellows will be rough customers in a brawl. There's a 10% chance for each to be a levy in the city watch, with commensurate friends and knowledge. Magic user encounters will be with a magic user of 7th to 12th level, D6 plus 6, and 1 to 4 henchmen, 45% apprentice magic users, D6 for level, 30% fighter guards, D4 plus 3 for level, 25% for a mixture of the two, providing 2 or 4 henchmen are in the magic user's company. As with illusionists, magic users wish to mind their own affairs, and like others, to do likewise. Mercenary encounters are with 3 to 12 nondescript men. They will be a first level fighter for every 3 level 0 mercenaries, and a 2nd to 5th level leader, D4 plus 1, if there are 10 or more mercenaries encountered. There is a 70% likelihood that they are already in the employ of someone, otherwise normal reaction dice are used. Merchant encounters are with 1 to 3 purveyors or factors in the daytime, but at night they will be 2 to 8 mercenary guards with the merchants if the encounter is in a dangerous sector. Guards will be 0 level with 1 leader of 1st to 4th level, D4 for level. A merchant will fear robbery but is 10% likely to have useful knowledge for a price. 10% of merchants encountered will be rich, thus indistinguishable from an important city official or noble. Monk encounters will be with a single monk of 7th to 10th level, D4 plus 6. The monk might appear as a beggar or other character. The business of the monk is typical that of traveling from point A to point B. Reaction is determined by standard test. Night hag encounters are treated similar to demon and devil encounters, i.e. the area must suit the encounter. From 1 to 2 night hags will be encountered. Noble encounters are with a nobleman and retainers 75% of the time, and with a noble woman 25% of the time. A noble will have 1 to 4 guards of 1st to 4th level, fighting ability, 1 to 2 servants, and there is a 75% likelihood that a noblewoman will have a sedan chair, carriers, and link boys at night. Noble men can easily be mistaken for important city officials or very rich merchants. Noble women can likewise be mistaken for a courtesan or a procuress. Any insult will be taken seriously. Nobles are 50% likely to be fighters, 80%, or clerics, 20% of 5th to 12th level, D8 plus 4. Paladin encounters will be with a paladin of 6th to 9th level, D4 plus 5. The paladin will be indistinguishable from any other fighter. Pilgrim encounters are with 3 to 12 persons bent upon a journey to some religious or quasi-religious site. The alignment of pilgrims is variable, but that of a group is always homogeneous. For every 4 pilgrims, there will be 1 of unusual type, cleric, fighter, etc. See Advanced Dungeons & Dragons Monster Manual for exact probability of each character type if desired. As pilgrims are nondescript, it is quite probable that they can actually be confused with other groups, bandits, laborers, and so on. Press gang encounters will involve 2 to 16 burly sailors or soldiers armed with swords but wielding clubs. Gang members will be 1st level with 1 leader of level 2 to 5, D4 plus 1. Outnumbered or incapacitated characters may be shanghaied into the local navy or militia. Rake encounters are with 2 to 5 young gentleman fighters of 5th to 10th level, d6 plus 4. The rakes will always be aggressive, rude, and sarcastic. There is a 25% chance they will be drunk. Rakshasa encounters are treated the same as demon or devil encounters, i.e. the area must suit the encounter. From 1 to 3 will be encountered. Ranger encounters will be with a ranger of 7th to 10th level, d4 plus 6. The ranger will be indistinguishable from any other fighter. Ruffian encounters will be with from 7 to 12, d6 plus 6, fellows of shabby appearance and mean disposition. They will be armed with clubs and daggers, fighting at 2nd level ability, and having 2 dice, d8 for hits. There is a 5% chance per ruffian encountered that an assassin of 5th to 8th level, d4 plus 4, will be with the group. All weapons will be concealed. Shadow encounters are treated the same as those of demon and devil, except that there is a small likelihood of shadows being encountered in any deserted place. From 2 to 8 shadows will be encountered. Spectre encounters are treated in the same fashion as those with a ghost. From 1 to 3 specters will be encountered. Thief encounters will be with an 8th to 11th level thief, d4 plus 7, with 0 to 2 apprentices of 1st to 4th level. If there is but one thief, he or she will be an adventurer, merely stopping by for a short time in the city or town. Other thieves encountered will be on guild business, or working, or both. Tradesmen encounters are from 2 to 8 nondescript tradesmen, smiths, coopers, etc., on their way to or from their work. They are greatly valued citizens and generally friendly with city guards and watch. Were-rat encounters will be with from 2 to 5 of the creatures. In daylight, it is 90% likely that the were-rats will be in human form. At night, it is 50% likely that they will be in human form, 50% for giant rat form. Were-rats can be any type of human if desired. See Swords of Lankhmar by Fritz Lieber. They will intelligently try to set up, ambush, or otherwise react to the encountering party. Were-tiger encounters will be with 1 or 2 were-tigers all day, and 90% of the night encounters will be with creatures in their human form. The were-tigers will be 90% likely to be temporary residents of the city or town and on some errand rather than seeking to prey upon passers-by. Werewolf encounters are with 2 to 5 werewolves all day and 50% of the night. Encounters will be with creatures in their human form. The werewolves will generally be seeking prey, although there is a 20% chance that they will be on some special errand and ignore the encountering party. White encounters are the same as ghast encounters, except that 2 to 5 whites will be encountered. Will-o-wisp encounters are the same as ghost encounters, except 1 to 2 will-o-wisps can be encountered. And then we've got an awesome picture. Guy shooting a magic missile while he rides, which is not something I would allow. Emiracole the Chaotic. He's already burned this poor sap right here. It's crazy. Wraith encounters are treated the same as ghost encounters, except that 1 to 4 wraiths can be encountered. Vampire encounters are the same as ghost encounters, but the vampire ranges nearly anywhere in the city or town in human, bat, or gaseous form. They're always seeking new victims. Magic possessed by encountered creatures. All 1st or higher level characters encountered in a city town may possess 1 or more magic items on his or her person at the time of encounter. Of course, as they will employ the items, this should be determined before interaction takes place between the party and the encountered. The power of the item must be commensurate with the level of the possessor. Chance per level for magic item. And we've got all sorts of tables, so I'm just going to show you tables. So we've got the type of character and then the item that they would have that's magical. And then you roll as a result of that. Any item generated must be appropriate to the character and usable. Any duplications are disregarded. For example, a magic user with a protection device, a cloak of displacement for whom a miscellaneous magic item is also determined, cannot have another such cloak. We are on Appendix D now, and I need to update my on-screen prompt. Appendix D, random generation of creatures from the lower planes. At times, it might be useful to have an unrecognizable creature of evil from the planes of the abyss Tartarus, Hades, Gehenna, or Hell. It is no great matter to sit down and design a fairly interesting one given an hour or so, but time or desire lacking, the following will enable you to create one or several such monsters in but a few minutes. The format is straight from the AD&D Monster Manual for ease of recording and handling the creatures developed. Frequency, common, uncommon, or rare. Number appearing 1 to 2 to 8. Armor class 0 to -3. Move, I'm just going to show you. You can see you can't because my stupid face is in the way. The move is 6 to 9 to 12 to 15 to 18 inches. Hit dice is 7 to 10. Percent in lair is circumstances must dictate. Treasure type, low value, if any. Number of attacks, see appearance table. Damage per attack, see attack table. And then, of course, on the right there, we have all the tables. Special attacks, see special attacks table below. Special defenses, see special defenses table below. Magic resistance is 5% per hit die. Intelligence is low, average, very, or high. Alignment is according to the plane of origin. Size is small, medium, or large. Sonic ability is nil or 96 to 115. Attack defense modes as noted here. So you have an appearance table to generate your own demon or demonic creature and all the different types of things like elephant-like ears or skeletal overall visage or even eye color. This is crazy. Bipedal torso, quadrupedal torso, general characteristics, tail, body odor, skin, predominant color, back, wings, arms, hands, etc. Just create your own monster as you see fit. A bit of imaginative creation is helpful in using the tables above. For example, if the creature's body is amoeba-like, you might well decide to give it scores of tiny bubbling sucker mouths under its entire body and omit any mouth in the head. Of course, body covering would have to be adjusted accordingly and appendages selected to suit the monster. Likewise, you should feel at ease adding to or amending the tables as you desire in order to arrive at still more diverse and unexpected lower planes creatures. This Dragon Magazine number 20, volume 3, number 6, Demonology Made Easy by Gregory Rinn. This excellent article gives some interesting thoughts on variant creatures of the evil planes. When you have the form and appearance of the creature, determine strength if necessary, and then attack capabilities. And there's a percentile roll for the strength, starting at 17, going up to 20. And then the attack table from antlers or horns, mouth, tail, hands, or feet. Damage amount is determined by overall size of the creature, with strength bonuses where applicable and the size and type of body weaponry, i.e. a huge creature with clawed hands would get damage ratings of at least 2 to 8 per hit. Constriction or hugging damage would be commensurate with a known creature of the same approximate size. Incidental spine type damage is best kept relatively low. Special effects from these attack forms, poison, energy drain, heat, cold, electric discharge, paralysis, or whatever, should be kept to a minimum. Special attacks and special defenses can't be dealt with in as much detail as would be desired in a work of unlimited length. The tables below will suggest various magical attack or defense forms, and the DM is urged to add others of his own creation as appropriate to the plane and the creature. Special attacks 1 to 3, ability drain, energy drain, cold, gaseous discharge or missile damage, discharge, heat generation, life level drain, spell-like abilities, spell use, summon, or gate. Spell-like and spell use abilities should be based upon intelligence level and relative strength and hit die. Compare daemons, demons, devils, and night hags. From 1 to 2 spells and a like number of spell-like abilities is sufficient for lesser creatures, while the more powerful and intelligent will get a total of 2 to 5 each, some being of higher level, telekinesis, teleportation, etc. Special defenses 1 to 4, acid immunity, cold immunity, electrical immunity, fire immunity, gas immunity, mental immunity, poison immunity, regeneration, spell immunity, or weapon immunity. Immunities are above 4 are possible only if the general class, demons, devils, etc., has more. Mental immunity can pertain to iron, steel, silver, or any other, including combinations, but excluding magical weaponry. Regeneration base is 1 hit point per turn, with exceptional creatures having a maximum of 1 per round. Spell immunity must be limited to 1 to 4 predetermined spells. Weapon immunity refers to creatures hit only by magical weapons of a certain value, +1, +2, etc. Other abilities, audial superiority, surprise capability, or visual superiority. Audio or visual superiority will tend to negate surprise and enable detection of creatures through sound or vision. Surprise capability relates to special movement ability and possibly other factors. Vision superiority refers to infravisual and ultravisual capabilities. To avoid having nothing more than different mixtures of the same old ingredients, be certain that you put a bit of personal creativity into each monster. A list of new and different factors should be started, perhaps in the margin, and then fresh ideas added as they come. When a monster is devised, cross off the unique features from the marginal list. Whoa, and we have a sideways, I don't even know how to view this. So it's Appendix E. So let's make the note here. We are now on Appendix E. And this is Appendix E, Alphabetical Recapitulation of Monsters with Experience Point Values. And you've got a list of all the monsters alphabetically listed, all their stats listed in the table. And of course, it goes through a number of different pages as we go through the monsters. I'm clearly not going to be listing every monster here, so I'm just going to be scanning through all of these tables that are sideways, completely unhelpful to me right now. We're currently in D's, E's, G, H. Oh, there's a ton of these things. K's, L, N, P, R, S, T, V, W, and then of course we get down to Z for zombie. All right, the next. Appendix F. Gambling. We all love gambling, don't we? This pastime is common in all taverns, inns, and just about any barracks. You may, of course, make up any games for wagering purposes you wish. Here are some few for those of you who are unfamiliar with basic dice games. Cards are too involved to go into here, except as noted. Dice games. Craps. The shooter wins on a first roll 2 to 6 of 7 or 11, or loses on 2, 3, or 12. Otherwise, the shooter rolls until the number first rolled is rolled a second time, a win, or a 7 is rolled, a loss. Shooters bet before rolling, as others may. Side bets may be made thereafter as applicable, if there are takers. The fancy line play of modern casinos is ignored. Dice pass clockwise to next player when the shooter loses. Horse. The first roller is determined by whatever means is desired. 5 to 6 are used, 6 high, 1 low. Lowest to highest hands are pair, 2 pair, 3 of a kind, straight, 1 to 5 or 2 to 6. Full house, triplet, and pair, 4 of a kind, 5 of a kind. The first roller may elect to roll once or twice. If only once, all other players may roll only once to beat him or her. If 2 rolls are made, the roller may retain none, 1, 2, 3, or 4 of the dice of the first toss, rolling the remainder. Winner becomes the boss, first roller. Knuckle Bones. Again, this is a crap type game, but the object is to score the highest total. A variant allows a second roll of the dice by the first shooter, retaining none or one of them if he or she so desires, but then all other players are entitled to do the same. Winner rolls first. Slot variant. Use 3 to 6, 1 roll only, the wager being made prior to the roll. The table below is weighted in favor of the house. You may, of course, devise your own tables, and it gives you dice roll equivalents, and then, of course, whether it's a lemon, orange, bar, bell, plum, or cherry. Zowie slot variant. Use 3 to 8 instead of 3 to 6. The odds on any given combination are changed from 1 to 216 to 1 in 512. Payoffs are as follows. And it shows you the payoff and, of course, the different roll outcomes of lemon, orange, bell, bar, plum, cherry, anchor, or crown. Dice racing use a checkerboard for players maximum place their tokens on alternate rows. The object is to move the token to the end of the board, sideways only, and then back on the adjacent file to the first row. A roll of d6 determines the number of spaces each player moves. Wagers are to be made prior to commencement of game. In between. Roll 3d20, 2 white and 1 of a different color. The player must roll in between the 2 white dice with the colored dice. Equaling a number is a loss. If the 2 white dice are equal to each other, the loss is automatic. Odds are always 5 to 2 before dice are cast. Note, a crooked house might paint 11 sides of a die black and only 9 red. Card games. 21. A 52-card deck is used, each player betting against the house dealer, the DM. 2 cards are dealt to each player, and the dealer players in turn elect to take additional cards up to a total of 5. Hands totaling over 21 automatically lose. Hands of 5 cards under 22 automatically win, double their wager, exception the dealer. The object is to come as close to 21 as possible. Ties go to the house. Aces count either 1 or 11 at the holding player's option. Face cards count as 10, and numbered cards are as marked. Players get first 2 cards down, others are dealt face up. Dealer gets second card face up. Dealer must take a hit additional card on any total under 17, and cannot take a card on any total of 17 or better. This rule is not per Hoyle. Dealer gets cards last. Bets are made after the first 2 cards are dealt around. If a player has a natural pair, he or she may elect to go double, flipping them up, asking for 2 additional face-down cards, 1 for each face-up card, and betting on each hand. The house always retains the deal. High-low. Each player gets 2 cards face down. Prior to dealing, some stake is placed in the pot. After looking at the cards, each player turns 1 up, and the player with the highest up card bets. A 3 raise limit is suggested. Each player has the option of changing his or her up or down card for a fresh one from the deck. This takes place 3 times going around the table with a betting interval after each round. A 2 is low and ace is high. The object is to have the highest hand, a pair on down, to a 2 to 3, lowest possible hand, followed by 2 to 4, 3 to 4, 2 to 5, 3 to 5, 4 to 5, 2 to 6, 3 to 6, 4 to 6, 5 to 6, 2 to 7, and so forth. High and low hands are split the pot equally, odd money going to high. Other gambling games can be devised on principles of colors, shapes, positions, or whatever. We are on Appendix G. All right, and this is just a huge table, so I'm just going to show it to you. Traps. So this is literally a huge list of different types of traps. From like caltrops to spring doors to nauseous gas, jaw trap, passage blocked by falling bars, an elevator room, spear trap, or acid vent. Brutal. Next appendix here. Appendix H, tricks. As with traps, there are nearly endless number of tricks which can be devised and used in the campaign. Most experienced dungeon masters will probably already have a proud repertoire of clever and innovative, not to mention unique and astounding, artifices, deceptions, conundrums, and sundry tricks which will put to shame the humble offering which follows. Nonetheless, this enumeration might serve for those who have not yet had the experience and season necessary to invent more clever devices to bring consternation to overbold and incautious characters. Even if you're fairly conversant with the idea of tricks in the dungeon, check the list anyway, for you might find 1 or 2 useful ideas there. The first list is features commonly found in a dungeon. Thereafter is a longer list of attributes. Select a feature or several as desired. Assign 1 or more attributes to each feature or combination thereof in order to develop an interesting trick which will challenge the players and yet not be too difficult for the level of experience of the characters. When you come to an appropriate spot in your dungeon, or elsewhere for that matter, enliven the place with addition of a few tricky attributes to an otherwise unremarkable or now ordinary feature. So features are stuff like altars, doors, fountains, idols, monster, passage, pedestal, statue, wall, etc. Attributes include, as you can see, ages, anti-magic, collapsing, moves or rolls, poisons, points, resisting, rising or sinking, enrages, shoots, sliding, sloping, geases, gaseous, intelligence, etc. The following examples of tricks are offered as a guide only. And actually, that's where I think we're going to stop because we are already at our hour and I have tons of other stuff going on. So, thank you all so very much for tuning into this episode. That is it for this episode of Gaming Advanced Dungeons & Dragons. What do you think of the random monster encounters? Do you have a favorite appendix that we've covered? Feel free to email me at info@dlsaga.com or comment below. I would like to take a moment and remind you to subscribe to this YouTube channel, ring the bell to get notified about upcoming videos, and click the like button. This all goes to help other Dragonlance fans learn about this channel and its content. Thank you to creator patron Aaron Hardy and developer patrons Chris Androu and Sam Ruiz and all of the YouTube members. This channel is all about celebrating the wonderful world of DragonLance Saga. Thank you so much for joining in that celebration. This has been Adam with DragonLance Saga, and until next time, Sláinte mhath.